Welcome to a fresh new podcast episode of Rinse and Repeat. I'm your host, Ilse Wolf, and I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Maria Fristrom from Finland, and we're here in Florida, USA. Woohoo! Thanks so much for joining us. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it so much. So lovely to have that time. Gosh, how did we even connect initially?
I want to do a little
Yay!
behind the scenes, all the way from New Zealand and all the way from Finland. And we meet up in Florida.
In Florida.
Finally. I think we met online. It's been years already.
Literally between Instagram accounts.
Yeah. Beautiful life.
How cool.
Yeah, I can't remember when it was.
It must be years.
At least 2 years.
Even more because
you were pregnant, I think.
Right.
So that's 3.
Yeah,
right?
and slightly like with your Only Woman in the Room book, I already felt like I knew your online you quite well before that came out, and I was just looking at that. That was 2020, so like while I was pregnant. Yeah, so probably around that 20.
Yeah, 3-4 years ago.
I know, it's so cool. Like these opportunities with the conference are just so great, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually true. You hear people talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you put yourself in the path of opportunity, and the way you do that is by flying across the world. Today, you're on the Bigger Pockets, like making reels with Rob.
I know.
That you've listened to on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
But that wouldn't happen without you having made this trek. And they're like, you came in from New Zealand. And that's the way it happened for me. Like, I flew in the first Bigger Pockets conference in Nashville. And there's somebody here from Finland. And like 2,000 people turned around. And I'm like, hi guys.
That's me. That's me.
And this time it's you.
Oh.
Right? So you're doing something that other people are not willing to do.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, right? To get to get those results. And I notice a lot of the speakers repeating, don't just come to the conference and write a big action list. Make sure that you do go and implement these things, which, this massive trick and effort for both of us, that's without question, right? But obviously that's the norm, is that probably 95% will just go, oh, that was interesting, and not really put it to full effect. But yeah.
And I think it's also remembering that it's not a one-time thing. It's not you come in here and then that's that.
Yeah.
It's the first step in creating these meaningful relationships with people, and it takes time.
Yeah.
So
and it's that whole, I think you're the same, is like that idea of just strike up a conversation because you have no idea where it could lead. Like, look, waiting for the Starbucks coffee this morning, and that's with the guys, and then like jump in our Escalade. I'm like, this could be a really great idea or a really bad idea. I did a little DD in the background and check. Okay, well, they've had Brandon Turner. I think I'm okay.
You're okay. But that's exactly it. I think it's saying yes before you're ready, or like taking chances, and 100% like putting yourself in the path of opportunity. It's what I keep coming back to.
I love that. Yeah, and the path, it's so true, because you can't spot it either. It may be there, but you can't spot it.
You don't know what little spark it is. The way we're sitting here now together, like it started with a comment on Instagram, or like a like, and then a connection, and then that builds into who knows what.
I know. And it's like that opening party the other night. I could not believe the number of heads all here, to talk about property and network. And that was the best way to meet Rob and David and a few of the other people I've only seen online. I've never engaged even with them. And then yesterday was walking past with another investor and saw Rob doing these reels, and we literally like scooted around the back, like, don't disturb him. And then he called out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Rob's calling out for me.
I'm like, of course, yeah, that checks out. Makes total sense to me.
Yeah. And then he asked me about some program I didn't know. Like, that's how I worked out he's a dad. I think so. He must be a dad.
I'm not sure. But,
he knew about this cartoon.
Then probably.
So I hope.
Or he has weird taste.
Well, there's a lot I'm yet to hear about and learn about Rob.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What do the Finnish the Finland
Yeah,
based
Finnish.
Finnish properties. What sort of property are they? All apartments, and are they short term, long term, medium term? So many trends I've learned about here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My portfolio is all apartments in Finland. I sold the single family home that I had in Colorado. And then I have the development of 6 houses, 6 single family homes in Texas. But in Finland, it's apartments, and almost all of them are long term.
Long term.
One of them I've made into a short term.
Right.
Yeah.
There's one that, like, with the terrazzo, cool vanity and things, I feel like that looks so Airbnb, because if you were trying to stop people scrolling, those shots would be, wow, I'll definitely put a picture of this, because, like, to me, that's so eye-catching that it feels like that's a vibrant place I would want to come. Is that the Airbnb, or is that long-term?
That's actually long-term. And my husband's like, yeah, so it's like the terrazzo everywhere, the floor and furniture and pink walls and pink kitchen. And my husband's like, what are you doing? Because he's not actively involved in it. And then sometimes he just comes and looks at stuff, or like helps like bring stuff over. And he's like, oh my God, what have
Walk
you
in the door.
done? Yeah.
We're not catering to you, but
yeah, he's like, no man will ever want to live here. And actually, it's a guy who's lived there.
Really?
For the past 3 years.
So what's your process, because you have such a creative design eye? Are you thinking about the numbers up front, and then can you walk into, I feel like you walk into a space and you visualize, I can visualize the renovation.
Yeah.
I feel like you would walk in there and you can see a color palette or a theme, or I don't know. What's that process like for you? Are you leading with the design and then you work back the numbers, or vice versa?
Well, the numbers have to work always, obviously, because, girls got to eat. So I love my spreadsheets. So the business case has to be there. But yes, I am a little bit of like Rain Man.
What's the difference?
Or like a beautiful mind.
I love that.
I think in colors and shapes and structure, like
really.
Yeah. So I can come into a space and I definitely get a vibe.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see there's a lot of geometry.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you immediately have a palette based on what you can kind of see when you get the vibe? Or does that come later as you're collecting your pictures, you're out in nature, and that builds as you see a raw space?
Sometimes a little bit of both. I think it co-plays.
Yeah.
And then it changes sometimes in the middle of the project.
Yeah, which it needs to segue and pivot. That always happens. Wow. So what are your go-to retailers, or, I mean, you have the most incredible design style, culture. Your part of the world is just like, the mecca for design. Like, I mean, my Instagram feed is full of vibrant Finnish, Danish, Swedish style. It's impeccable.
The Danish,
Oh, really?
Huge.
Are they in a whole category? I love all 3.
I love that. Yeah.
Oh.
They celebrate the beauty of design in a whole nother level, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I see with yours.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Us Finns never appreciate our own stuff enough.
Oh, Finns. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So, do you have go-to suppliers? There's IKEA, which you get the Swedish style, or, for your part of the world, at really cost-effective. So do you use, I know you make a lot, though.
Yeah.
How do you decide if you're going to hack this? I've seen you make columns and glue things all the way around it.
Yep.
So you're not only styling. Oh my gosh, this just all came back to me. Like, you make your finishes, you make headboards.
Yeah.
Like, give us a list, and how do you decide you're doing it? Is it that you have a vision that's so clear, and if you can't source it, you will just create it?
Well, most of the time it's a spreadsheets thing. If I can't afford it, I make it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I see something that I like, and I think it's probably like growing up we didn't have a lot, and I wasn't able to like buy all the stuff that I wanted. So I became scrappy. Like I just figured stuff out
So
how
you
to
applied
make
that.
it. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, that table's cool, but it's $1,500.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, how can I make something like that myself? And yeah, so it
Wow.
becomes like a creative challenge.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then I'm like, can I maybe make an IKEA hack of this? And yeah, and then it becomes also, I go into my garage, or AKA the abyss.
Oh, really? Disappear.
And look at, it's almost like people who know how to cook. They look
Mm-hmm.
in the fridge and they're like, I have these ingredients. I go into the garage and I'm like, I can make something out of this, and you know, put
Really?
pieces together. So yeah, that's
Very cool.
it's something that makes me happy to just figure it out.
And you just completely immerse yourself in there. That's this abyss, right? So
Yeah.
you're going this plus this plus this,
Yeah.
and you're just yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, how cool! Do you have any idea with the numbers then, like what I'm sure you would. What when you create that equivalent, is this like a 50% saving, 75% saving, more?
Depends on the case, but yeah, more than 75% most of the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
And is that finishings, or can that be furniture? A lot of your photography includes, so yours are furnished. Is that common? Is that expected, or is that a nice to have? That a lucky tenant who gets you is going, oh my gosh, I have the best apartment ever.
Well, I'm weird. I started furnishing my apartments because nobody else was, and I saw an opportunity to provide brands with value. And what I mean by that is providing them with marketing materials. And to be able to give them that, and marketing materials, I mean photography, right, of their products, and videos of their product being installed, or and for it to be something useful for them, it has to look like a home, right? It's not enough to have an empty space and have a rug. Right? So by doing that, I was able to get discounts on the products. And this is something that property investors could do more of. You don't have to be an influencer with thousands of followers to do this, because everybody, you can give them two things, right? You can give them access to your audience, or you can give them assets. So you can give them the photography, or you can give them videos, you can give them stuff that they can use in their marketing across the board, Instagram, like all of the social media, website, all of that, right?
Wow, that's so true. That's
Yeah.
probably
So
underutilized.
yeah, so I spent money and time on staging and furnishing my apartments, but I got content for myself. I got content for clients, and I got stuff for free to do it, or heavily discounted, and I also got paid for it. Yeah.
Discount / free and get paid. That's another double whammy.
Yeah. So it all added up. So I invested upfront in getting nicer materials, or furnishing it, and sometimes I would just leave the furnishings and not even ask the tenants for more. Got a bit of a tax benefit from that as well, because in Finland you get a tax benefit if something is furnished.
Wow.
I mean, not a lot, but like 60 euros a month.
It
but
helps.
still, like so that's a tip.
Right.
To think about, how can me doing something extra benefit a brand in a way where it's a win-win situation, where they can actually, give you stuff.
Definitely. So are you still doing that? Are those collabs still happening now?
Yeah. I actually, but now I just crank it up. Like I do it for the development in Texas that we're working on. Yeah. So I'm able to help Finnish brands get into the U.S. market, to say, hey, if you're looking to expand into the U.S., I have this avenue. One, I have an audience with like U.S. and Finnish audience, but also get them through the U.S. store.
That is so incredible. It's very innovative, very creative thinking. Like, that's obviously your brain. I need to up my investment game a little bit here.
No, I feel like we're very much alike in what the way we're doing things. I feel like you're doing more, but
that's so inspirational. I've never really come across another investor again, like who sort of had that thinking of like dual benefits, and here's another angle I can come from, and that benefits, you know, multiple audiences.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Because all of a sudden now, the partnership that I have in that development, I'm an equity partner, and I'm in charge of the design. But also, what I can bring to the table is, hey, I can also bring brand collaborations to offset the costs, and be a benefit to my partners in that, but also myself, like because you've got skin in the game as an equity partner.
Yeah, for sure. So that's how you roll. So I am very curious about this development. So what's the timing? You have 6 standalone houses in Texas.
Yes.
Is it Austin?
It's
really interesting, like Finland and Texas.
Well, it goes back to how we started this, talking about how important it is to come to these events and meet people, and to, say yes to being in the path of opportunity. I went to the Maui Mastermind, the Brandon Turner and Tarly Arbor put up, and that's where I met my partner. But not the first time. The second time we started talking about the things that we really do. Yeah, so it takes time. So Katie Neeson, that I'm a partner with, I met her, and also a third partner who's a financer, Shannon Kefauver. She was also at that mastermind.
Really?
Yeah.
So there are 3 of you.
Yeah.
I always say the 2. Yeah, maybe the 2 of you are more in front. So then finance partner.
Yeah. So the 2 of us are like the operations part of it, and then Shannon is more passive on the. It just pays.
Yeah. I'm happy to be the other 2.
Hey, bitches, what are you doing over there?
And that's the thing, because you are in the path of opportunity, because you've worked out a unique value proposition for yourself.
Yep.
That's massively value from so many different angles. Like, helps the bottom line of the development, which is much more risky than a buy and hold. And you've actually carved out a very distinctive brand for yourself. That's just that's very clever, and that's not by chance. That's so 2015. You said it was the first one. So that's like 8 years of it. Well, I guess at that point maybe around 6 years of actively driving towards this. And I think what I find, just you, like with your content, you're so distinctive, and because it's so visual. In New Zealand, there's a color of paint called black white, and it is like the whitest white, and we all use it. And that's all we do. We go, let's go mass market, let's go dark charcoal carpet so that we don't see stains from the buy and hold tenants. Let's go white, vanilla, vanilla, vanilla. And you're like, bam, boom, the absolute opposite, which makes it so fresh, but very distinctive and memorable as well. So I think that probably you rub off on that, and vice versa. This is your brand, this is who you are, and it's what you bring. And it's massively unique, and that has value, right?
Yeah, I think it goes back to, if you're vanilla, you're a commodity, and nobody's willing to pay for a commodity. If you instead can be pistachio, people are gonna, all of a sudden you're a category of one, right? You stand out, you're different. Like, you can ask more for pistachio if you're an ice cream.
It's very difficult to find, so yeah.
Right? So, and I noticed this with with my first property in Colorado, right? So that we went back to, and I designed, and then we sold. It was scary because we did something that was not on the market. There was nothing to compare it to, really. And do you want to hear the numbers?
I was like, can I ask you about the numbers? Yeah. I'd love to know. It must have really given you a return that encouraged you. So yeah, talk me through.
Yeah, scary as shit.
Really?
Really scary to do something that is different, that stands out. But what ended up happening is, the market at that point, nothing in that area had been sold for more than $550,000 US dollars. And we listed it at $625.
Okay.
Which is crazy. And we sold it for $705.
No. What had you bought it?
Two
was
offers.
It $285? How much on the rehab?
105,000, something like that. Yeah, 100K.
So $390 all in.
Yeah.
And you sold for $705.
Yes.
And what was the total window? 5 years.
What was it? 2015. So a lot of luck goes in there as well, because we hit like it ended like it appreciated over the years as
Okay.
well. But I think at the end, what made it sell for that much more than asking was that there was nothing else like that on the market.
Distinctive.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So it was
distinctive.
pistachio. We sold
Pistachio ice cream.
Yeah.
They all came. So we would call that a multi-offer.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so two parties interested, and then they create. Hey, here's a deadline. The agent
Yeah.
orchestrates all that nicely
Yeah.
for the seller.
Yeah.
And so, did you straight up take the top of the two, or how did you decide? Because in New Zealand, you can say, hey, here's a higher price, but here are some conditions that come with that. Let me check this out, da da da. Is it similar?
It's similar, yeah. We chose the one offer that was stronger, that had had less contingencies to it, and faster close. And then, yeah. So the offer, they also wrote a letter. However, our realtor, he's like, you will not get to see that letter. So he wouldn't show it to us up until we were under contract. Yeah. So
From the one that you did select?
yeah. Because he's like, I don't want this to impact your choice. Like, this will hit your emotions.
Ooh, so this is exactly what I advise my clients to do.
Yes.
Is that common? Because it's not for in New Zealand.
Well, so not in Finland either. In the US, yes. And that's what I do always when I submit offers in Finland. I always tell them about us, like openly who we are, what we're doing with the property, like all of that.
Wow.
And it's I've won several bids like that.
It's very effective.
Yeah. If they read it.
Yeah. I've never heard of an agent blockading.
Oh yeah? No, I've got he's really good.
That's very good. Really works in your interest. That's a great selling agent.
Yeah. He's like, there will be no emotion making this decision. Like,
wow.
but we ended up
That's
picking them anyways, and that was a good choice.
Cool. That would have that entire experience would have been the hugest confidence boost. It sounds like you needed.
Yes.
Which blows my mind. I'm like, she knew what she was doing the whole time. That's such a great boost of encouragement, isn't it? And then from there, then the apartments came from there in Finland, and that would have fueled you even more.
Yeah.
And then you come right back 180 to here.
I think also what's important with that story that I want to highlight is that it is an 8-year journey, right? So if I'm like, hey, and then we're doing this development, blah, blah. Like, yeah, but
That's
I
huge.
started one apartment at a time, like painting them myself.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's
been a journey.
It's so much input. I would still argue that's pretty rapid. Like most Kiwis, 75% of New Zealand investors have one property.
Wow.
And then to get to the total 85% is up to 2. So only 10% more, that's 2. And that's kind of the bulk of the market. So that's an incredible learning curve and journey, really, because like, would you agree that development skills are completely different from rehab, renovations, BRRRR skills?
Yeah.
So I have myself properties that have that development opportunity. That's also what I help my clients bake into their purchasing criteria. So they get that double whammy of, we'll create this really epic gross yield, and if you bake in subdivision or development, then that's a future value add, right? So you get 2 bites at that cherry. But like, what was that a huge jump for you to jump into that? And was the confidence because you were 3? Is that where you felt, I'm ready for this? And
yep, 100%. I wouldn't have done it by myself. But my mentor, Brandon, he has this saying where he goes, surround yourself with what you're scared of is a Tuesday morning for, right? So me, I'm like, development, like building 6 houses from scratch scares the shit out of me. Like, that is really scary. But Katie, she's like, oh, that's a Tuesday morning for me. That's what she does all the time. And she has for the past 15 years. So like she knows what she's doing.
It's standing on the shoulders of giants because you see further. That's what I love that.
Yeah.
So sorry, he said, surround yourself with people who, for them, it's a Tuesday morning.
Yeah, the thing that you are afraid of, for them, that's a Tuesday morning.
Oh, wow. So Brandon is your mentor?
Yeah.
Actively? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. I knew you'd attended a couple of retreats.
Yeah.
Which I
yeah.
wondered, is that still going? That would be my next flight. I'll see you in Hawaii.
Well, not the ones that we went to.
Okay.
They stopped having them. But I know that Brandon is. I think he's still looking for people to join his new mentorship program.
Okay.
So do you want me to? I'll ask him.
I'd love a little inquiry. Thank you. Yeah. And I see also AJ Osborne has like Malta. So I'm kind of okay. Well, which direction? So what is, if you don't mind, sort of maybe as a last question, just understanding what's that next part of your property journey? So you have Brandon Turner as your personal mentor.
Yep.
And so that's 2-3 year journey already, if I got that roughly timeline correct. And what's the thought going forward?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I think I want to do more of these partnerships.
Yeah.
That I'm doing right now, where I get to be in my, it kind of sounds so zone of genius.
I heard that last night for the first time.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Oh,
Zone
is
of
it a book?
Genius. It is a book.
Zone of Genius.
Yeah.
Zone of Genius.
Yeah. Where you can actually do the things that you love and you create the most value and live in your strengths. So I'd love to do more of these and dive deeper into the partnership that I have with Shannon and Katie. It's been awesome. Yeah. And even deeper into the design, which I love.
How is that possible?
But otherwise, I don't know. I'm at this point where I'm like, I don't know. And that's scary, but also exciting.
Will you flip these 6 houses?
They are, yeah, we build
flips?
to sell.
Okay,
Yeah.
build to sell.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Are you able to sort of just highlight the key numbers or expected returns or?
Not right now.
No,
because
it's vetoed.
No, not even vetoed, but because I'm like, I'm not in charge of them.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So
That's a great
I
place to
can't
be.
remember them off the top of my head.
That's a nice
But
spot to be.
Yeah. But we're looking to, if I remember correctly, we're looking to do, this is like a 50 or 100% rate of return. It's really good. It's really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll need to cover that for a
I'm
whole
like
nother
50
day.
or 100. Like, I don't know. Super.
It's a great
flimsy.
number.
Typically, I'm way on top of these numbers, but for this project, that's
not
Katie.
Yeah,
Katie
cool.
would know.
Or maybe later on. What's your timeline? What's the horizon for these going on market? Is it sort of mid next year? Or?
They'll come out in December.
Really?
Yeah,
You're
this
that
year.
close?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're getting ready to. So that's super exciting and also scary. Like,
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. I literally could just absorb and listen to you for so long. I realized, oh my goodness.
You haven't even gotten all of my questions yet.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for your time.
Finally, this happened. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. Oh gosh,
you.
if there's anything I can do to return the favor as well. Don't have the same audience. But
You already have.
oh gosh.